Yeah, great. Awesome. Get into it, Bucko.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the very first official Teed Up podcast episode. My name is Tommy Argerio,
I'm Casey Flynn.
and we decided to, create this podcast because we're two college roommates who always bicker with each other, and I'm always right, he's always wrong. So I figure let's put it on film so I can show the world how wrong and stupid he is.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Get into it, Bucko.
So we're first topic today. World Cup started last week. We have, the old Argentina versus Saudi Arabia game, and Saudi Arabia with the ginormous, probably the biggest upset of the tournament. I mean, at least right now, but probably going to end up being the biggest upset of the tournament. And they win 2-1 after trailing 1-0 at halftime. So I mean, Argentina, they haven't lost at excuse me, they haven't lost a game in the World Cup when they won or they were winning at halftime since 1920 or 1930, and they took 2-1. They could have tied 2-2. Messi was offsides for his second goal, just by maybe a foot. He was just leaning forward a little bit, drew the offside call, and that was the game right there. That was what really trended the other way.
Yeah, that's disappointing. It's just kind of crazy. Like, especially coming into what is probably Messi's last World Cup. Like, you're just kind of expecting the players like Messi, Ronaldo, like it's their last go around. Like, you just wouldn't expect something like that. And it's like their first time out, and you fall to Saudi Arabia. Like, great for Saudi Arabia. I mean, I'm pretty sure they announced
Yeah,
today is like a holiday. Everybody's got off today, and it's like it's just nuts. I mean, realistically, like who would have expected that? Nobody.
I mean, I after looking at the game and like, I'm not gonna take anything away from Saudi Arabia because the two goals they scored, I don't know if you saw them, they were filthy. They
Yeah.
were like, it's not like they were just no open net header or like a tap in. Like they were the second goal, I believe, was utterly filthy. It was from like outside the box, through traffic of people, bend it around into the corner, and the outreach goalie couldn't get it. It was an impressive shot, to say
You
the
know,
least.
I thought it was funny. I read a story yesterday about this reporter like was he's at the World Cup obviously, and he interviewed all like a bunch of Argentinian fans, and so many of them weren't surprised. They were like, yeah, like this happens like whenever we underestimate a team, like they come out slow, and this is what happens. And they weren't like that surprised. I was
Well, I
like
mean, Messi, whenever he's playing for Argentina, they don't win. And it's not on him. I mean, like he's still one of the best ever, and like probably the best Argentinian to ever play. But at the same, like it's not fully on him. But at the same time, they've always underperformed the Olympics. Every World Cup, he's never won a World Cup. I don't think he ever gotten a gold medal in the Olympics either. They don't perform well.
yeah, that was kind of crazy. They need to right the ship immediately,
Yeah,
or else
I'm. I mean, it's still a lot of tournament left, but falling game one to Saudi Arabia is not the start that they wanted.
hell
So
no, not a good look.
I mean, and in game two, USA, they should have won too. Versus Wales, big game. Like they were the favorites. Gareth Bale, he's still in Wales. Like that's a good team, but this is their first World Cup since 1958. They haven't been here in 50 years. So like you kind of expect the USA to go out here and produce and score some goals and win. And the fact that they lost off an 80th minute PK just shows their youth. They're the second youngest team in the World Cup. They're truly young, but that play in the 80th minute,
That was
you don't go out there
senseless.
and
That was just a
yeah.
senseless foul. Like
And he was playing well the whole game too, Reem or Rhyme, whatever his name
I
is.
think it was
He,
Zimmerman, Walker Zimmerman.
I thought it was the dude, the,
Was
the
it
blondie
Ream?
with the
The
blondie
guy
with
with
the
the pony I thought was
ponytail.
was uh was Zimmerman. Whoever it
To be
was.
honest, who
That
knows?
guy fucking botched it.
Yeah, he played well too the whole game. Either like it was Zimmerman or Reem. I'm not sure which guy was, but either way, they both played well. And he made
Yeah.
a huge mistake late in the game, which
Of
those are the
all
things you just
people
can't
too,
do.
what are you taking the risk on Bale for? Like you're just
Yeah.
gonna give him like a little fire? Like you're gonna give him like any sort of spark to kind of keep them in the game? Like give me a
I mean, the
fucking
goalie
break.
almost had them. He almost made the save. He tipped it. I mean, Bale just booted it. He
Yeah,
just
yeah,
hit
that was
that.
a rocket. That
He
was a
rocketed
rocket.
that shit.
That was a
I
rocket.
mean, that's a tough save. I'm not saying anything on the goalie. He guessed right. He got his hand on the ball barely, but goaltender played well. He made some good saves. It's just at the end of the day, like it's just those mental mistakes you can't make. I know the young team, you need to get some like experiences, some learning experience. They learned from that, but
Like ideally, USA. obviously, ideally, you want them to beat England. You see that to be difficult, but if
Well,
they
Harry
can
Kane might be
tie
out.
them, Harry Kane might be out.
He might be out. That's
Still, I
big.
mean, still England's like still
Yeah,
they're still better, but like if
yeah,
they
I
can
agree.
tie England and then England beats Wales outright, like they'll be fine. But that's just a brutal way to start the cup for them. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, 10 minutes left. 10 minutes. Well, I think it was 19 after. I think it was 9 minutes of added
It
time.
was
So
yeah, it
19
was a
minutes
lot of
left.
stoppage time.
Well, yeah, because the referees were terrible in that game.
Yeah,
They
that guy was a buffoon.
they didn't know how to act. It was like the first game, the first start of it. They had two yellow cards on the American players that couldn't have like they could have been yellow. They made them yellow, but they were soft. And then later in the game, they had some plays on Pulisic where they're like clearly going after him. He's the best player. We know Pulisic is the best player in America, on the U.S.
Yeah.
And they were laying him out like truly lowered shoulder football style, sent him to the turf, and they kept playing no yellow card, nothing. It was a red card worthy play. He didn't even touch the ball. He barely went for the ball. Guy stuck his leg out and it said, "Pow!" Nothing. And
Yeah.
then in the second half, it's one player goes down on Wales. The U.S. has the ball in possession and they stop play. Pulisic goes down at the end of the game. It was in extra time. They didn't stop the play because he was hurt. It's like, if you're going to do one thing, do it for the other. And he did that at one point, but at the same time, at the end of the game, he was a little bit more one sided to Wales.
Yeah, at the end there was a clear like foul on Pulisic, and he just ignored it. But like 4 minutes earlier, he was
Yeah.
calling he was calling
But
everything for Wales. So it was a little weird. It was a little
he
weird.
was card happy yesterday. I mean, he made some calls, like yellow cards on Wales too, like after the two in the first half of the US. Like he was pulling them out left and right.
Young
I think it
referee
was,
too. They were
yeah,
saying he's a young guy. I
35.
think yeah, it's got to be your first World Cup. There's no way he was.
Yeah. It was his first World Cup, I think they said, and he did the Gold Cup. That's what it was. So
Okay.
he's seen the American team before. He was in the Gold Cup this year. But
Maybe he's got a little bias towards the States. Who knows?
well, they also said they were all Qatar crew. So usually they don't do that. They try to pick like three countries or like three different like regions that the referees are from to make it somewhat more fair and level,
Seem
like
fair at
level play.
least, yeah.
Yeah, but this one was all Qatar.
But yeah, hopefully USA can turn it around. I mean, that game against England's huge. When do they play? They play
Friday.
Friday?
Yeah,
Friday, yeah. That's a big game,
Friday. I'm not
obviously.
sure what. I think at 2. Friday
It's
at
the
2.
battle of it's the battle of 21 Savage's citizenship. Whoever wins gets
Yeah,
to claim 21 Savage.
it's the Revolutionary War Part 2.
But
But yeah,
anyways,
so
I know you got something
mm,
lined up that you want to talk about.
oh yeah, I got a big rant to go on. But first, I'm going to break down what just happened today. So the New York Jets lost to the Patriots 10-3 on a kick return touchdown by the Patriots. Another miracle at the Meadowlands, but in Foxborough. And this time it wasn't the Giants, it was the Jets. And Zach Wilson was utter dog shit, to say the least. I could probably say more, but we're going to keep it 13 because he had no reason to step into that press conference and say he didn't let the defense down. Because as a player on either side of the ball, if you look at it and you say you produce 77 yards, you produce 2 yards in total in the second half, 2.66 inches per play in the second half. And you're going to sit there and you're going to look at a camera in the eye, in the face, and you're going to look at your defense and say, no, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't the offense's fault. You're just stupid.
Yeah, whose
You're
fault was it,
stupid.
buddy?
Like, you're not blaming the play caller because clearly you couldn't even convert any third down. I think they had one third down or first down in total in the second half, not like a third down conversion, one first down, period. They got one first down, like 10 yards on one drive, maybe once or twice. And then you look at the camera and say, no, I don't feel bad for the defense giving up only 3 points and we lost the game. Just shut the hell up. You're a captain. Take accountability. Look at what Josh Allen said the last week. He took it. He said, "Look, that's me. That's my fault. I played bad. I got to be better." Be like that. You clearly have no leadership if you're going to sit there and just not like take yourself accountable. You're not perfect. Nobody is. Everybody knows that. But at the same time, understand when you're not perfect and when you're really bad. So the Jets came out this morning or yesterday, actually. Saleh said we're going to take everything into accountability and see if Zach's going to start next week. and that's what they need to do. So they came out today. He told the players, he told everybody, hey, Zach's not playing. He's not starting. I mean, he might play if somebody, maybe if Flacco or White gets hurt, but he's not starting. You can't do that. And the fact that he made that announcement to the players first, and he had to let them know, because weeks back when Elijah Moore requested a trade because he wasn't getting targets, he said, hey, we don't want to trade you. We're not going to trade you. But look, take a breather, go home, relax a little bit, get your mind straight. You're not playing this week. We're not playing you. And the fact that when he made an announcement and said, I want to be gone, and Wilson came out and made a really bad statement too and said it wasn't my fault, and he now is benched, there's clearly, it doesn't matter who you are. If you say something against the team that the team and coach don't like, you're not going to play. He holds everybody accountable the same way, no matter what your position is. And that's at the highest level right there. Saleh is a leader, and he's proven it. He's proven how much of a leader he really is. Because you're not just going to go out there. You're number 2 overall pick from last year. It's not like he's his 4th year and is on the rookie deal still, like his last year. It's his 2nd year, and he's making these kind of statements. And then Saleh's saying, "No, we're not allowing you to do this. You're not going to play this bad," and it's not blame yourself.
Yeah.
So I utterly fully respect his move in doing this.
I think he'll find himself, like he's gonna find his way back on the field. Like Flacco and White probably aren't gonna be sustainable for 4 or 5 weeks, but we'll see. I mean, honestly, I would like to see that because like something about Wilson rubs me the wrong way. I just don't like him. Like especially after this press conference, his attitude, like that's just pathetic. Like that's just not
Yeah,
something you say. You're the quarterback.
to say
Like
the
no matter
least.
whether you're a vocal guy or not, like you're the quarterback. You're the leader on the field.
Yep.
Like and also you got to know like being a quarterback in the NFL, like yeah, you're obviously gonna get most of the weight and the pressure when you lose a game. Like you're the guy
Yeah.
who has the ball
Right.
in his hands most of the time. So like you got to be able to learn. Like one of the first things you got to learn as a quarterback in the NFL is to take accountability. Even if it's not your fault, like it's just
Yeah.
something you do. Even if like the defense gave up 50 points, you scored 35 and lost, like you still have to take accountability for something. Like it's just like something you do, you
Yeah.
know?
Just because you could score a lot of points, but yet you could also score more. You could still go out there and say we should have had 60 today when you only
Sure.
had 40 or whatever. So at the end of the day, if you made bad plays and you were one of the people that made your team lose, you got to go out there and say it. Doesn't matter how bad
Yeah.
the defense played. You got to worry about your side of the ball, and then the defense will take care of it because the Jets defense is actually good this year, and we know we have 2 playmakers on the outside, and our defensive line is one of the top in the whole league.
Yeah, they were
There
stand
there
up
there
crew.
there is no, and they're going to hold each other accountable too. Mosley, you're gonna tell me CJ Mosley's not going to hold himself accountable?
Yeah.
No, he's gonna. He's a vet. He's gonna do that. He's the
Little
captain.
Bart
He's been
Scott
around.
2.0.
He's gonna make sure that it's known. And Wilson completely lost the locker room, just lost it. Once he did that, players on the defense started going on Twitter and liking tweets dissing him, which I don't blame them. But at the end of the day, it's tough to do that. You're going to get called out for that.
Yeah.
Reporters are going to see that and they're going to question and be like, oh, there's turmoil, especially in New York. Like New York, they're going to find that shit out.
Especially because the Jets are playing like fairly well to like how they usually do. So it's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
obviously there's going to be more eyes on you than there even are when you're.
If they won this week versus the Pack, they were in first place,
And now they're in last.
and now they're not even in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I thought
it's crazy
competitive. I
that if
mean,
they
the
won,
East
they
is
would have been
competitive.
leading the division, and since they lost, they're in last. Like that's crazy. That's how crazy the NFC East and the AFC East is.
Yeah,
They're both that tight.
almost every team in each East division could make the playoffs this year,
Yeah,
which would
it's
be
tight.
unreal.
It's tight,
But
but
we'll have to see next week to see who they didn't have it announced who's going to start. If it's White or Flacco, I think they're going to look at practice, and it's probably going to be Mike White because I don't know if they're going to. I mean, at this point it might be Flacco just because we still do
I
have
think
a
it'll be
chance.
Flacco.
We still do have a chance to win and go to the playoffs, and Flacco's going to be the guy. He's been there, done that, won a Super Bowl. So,
I mean, Flacco
but
was the
I
guy
wouldn't be
who they
surprised.
threw in when Wilson was injured, wasn't he? Flacco
Yeah,
was
he was,
number
but we
after
knew
that
that was a
Browns
short term
comeback.
memory. No, yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. But at the same time, like that was because we knew it was short term. We knew if you threw Mike White out there and he played well, since he's young, it's like, why are you going to take him out? Keep letting him play because he could be the guy. So now it might be Mike White to see or they might do like a one quarter thing. You never know.
Mike White's an NPC, dude. Like he just like fucking like appeared. Like he was
I
just
mean,
like
That game last year was pretty unreal. He's in the Hall
I
of
know,
Fame.
I know. The Jets fans, they'll never get over it. He played so well that one game, and then just
I
like
mean,
who the fuck
400
is Mike
yards
White?
and 3 touchdowns is pretty hard to do in the league. How many quarterbacks have
He
done
had a
it this
good
year?
game. I'm not saying he didn't have a good game. He had a good
Just
game, but
saying.
what's this guy gonna do? Like he's not that. He's not that
I
guy.
mean, how did Tom Brady come about? Because Drew Bledsoe got hurt and he
Shut
comes.
the fuck up. Don't start. No, we're not gonna do
Just
this
saying.
comparison. We're not doing
Uh,
that.
I'm not comparing them, but I'm just saying.
You're
How did he
getting
get it?
dangerously close.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to give dudes chances.
All right.
But
Yep. Next, I'm moving on.
we'll move around. We'll move
Get that
around it.
bullshit out of here.
Ain't no
Some other
bullshit.
turmoil that I expected to be a little bit better than it was Ben Simmons' return to Philly last night
Hmm.
on Tuesday. I was kind of one Embiid not playing really put a damper on everything just because like that's kind of the whole beef involved there. But the crowd like was like very sluggish. They still booed him and stuff, but like it was just sluggish. I don't know. And the fact that the Nets lost that game is just like pathetic.
Well,
Like
yeah.
no Harden, no Maxey, no Embiid, and you just let like Tobias Harris and this ragtag group of,
It wasn't
basically
even
bench
Harris.
players.
It was Milton. Shake had a good game.
Shake had a good game, but I'm saying Harris played well too, I believe.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Like Durant had 20 points, which is like just not it for him.
No.
Kyrie had 23. Like they didn't Simmons actually played fairly well in my opinion. I mean,
He
he
just
had
had a triple
11,
double.
yeah, 11, 7 and 11. So like
Yeah,
he did his
but I
thing.
think 2 or 3 steals and 2 or 3 blocks too.
Yeah. I love the marketing that the Sixers do. Like whenever they play Giannis or now it'll be Ben Simmons, like they do that like you get free nuggets if
They do that
so and
every
so
game. No, they do.
misses.
So they do that
That's
every
an every
game. But
game thing.
they do Wendy's. But for this one, they said if Ben Simmons himself misses 2 in a row, you get Chick-fil-A. So obviously Chick-fil-A is top
Yeah,
tier
that's
compared
top
to
notch.
Wendy's.
That's
So
top notch.
you're gonna make sure that it's higher than that.
Yeah,
And he
that's
made
true.
his first two, and he gave a little Jordan shrug like he's good, and then he missed
I
the next
know.
two like a
I know.
jackass.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. But he was interacting with the crowd more than I thought he would. He
I
was
saw
having
him
a
go
little
like
fun
that
with
at
it.
one point. I was
Yeah,
like,
and that
buddy,
play was
relax.
hilarious. Play was hilarious. He missed a wide open layup, got his rebound and put it back up, and then was like, Shh, like, dude, you just like you're 6'10" and you just smoked a layup. Like, give me a break, pal.
Realistically, I was expecting Philly to be a lot worse. I thought they were. I mean, they didn't have their best players playing, so maybe the stadium wasn't as packed as it should have been. Because I know people spent some good money on that game
But I
before the
figured once
season
the
started.
schedule, yeah, that's what I mean. Once the schedule came out, I figured people would have, bought the tickets. I was hoping like last night would have been way crazier. Even when they announced his name in the starting lineup, like, yeah, he obviously got booed, but like I was telling you earlier, like I was hoping people were throwing shit out on the floor. Like I wanted to see
I
some
wanted
like
to see it.
I wanted
I
to
would have
see like
loved
a
to see
little
it.
malice at the palace action.
I would have loved to see some Chickies and Pete's fries with the damn cheese sauce on his head. I would have
Yeah,
loved that.
chickies and
Or a cheese,
Pete's.
or like a cheesesteak. Like I would have loved to see Ben Simmons covered in cheese whiz. Are you serious?
some
He
some of these
deserves
shits
the Philly
looking.
welcome.
Yeah, that would have been better. And even after the game and they lost, he was still talking in the press conference. He was like, "Yeah, like I was hoping they brought something a little bit better than they had." But like he was so caught up in the crowd. Like I don't even think he was worried about winning that game. He was just
Nah,
worried
he didn't
about
give a
like
shit.
his like mental and like surviving the night.
Yeah, it was getting in, getting out, and getting back to Brooklyn. Maybe
Exactly.
he still probably got a cheesesteak from his spot because Philly
Exactly.
cheesesteaks are good. Either let me get that and get out of here.
Yeah, he was
When Embiid
talking.
plays, though, I'm telling you, that's the game when they all play because Embiid's gonna let him have it. Embiid has, I know he's got something inside him that he's pissed off. He is pissed off at him because of what they should have had and what they could have done. And he's gonna be the one that starts talking to him. And you know how he is. He
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Philly, if Embiid does this once, they erupt. They love
yeah.
that man.
On
And
their
if he
feet.
says one thing to Ben Simmons, that place is gonna go nuts.
Yeah. Like when like that whole Westbrook Durant thing happened where they split and they got into each other that one game for like a
Yep,
split second, like
yep,
that was electric. Like if something like
exactly.
that happened, like the people need that. Obviously it's not on the same level because like that Durant
Nah,
Westbrook rivalry was like for a little bit that was like top notch. I was loving that.
I still think that one is gonna be more like Durant and Westbrook is more like top notch than Simmons versus Philly, just because it is a little bit two different scenarios, like
That one was
how
just more
everything ended
personal.
up. Yeah, yeah. that one's personal to Russ because he knew what they had, and everyone on that team and that fan base knew what they had, and Russ stayed there, and he's a loyal person. I like to say he's loyal, and KD's a snake. Put it that way.
I didn't think Simmons and Embiid were like that close of friends either. I would say like Durant and Westbrook like were posed as like good
Yeah.
friends, like they were
Well, they
boys.
were there for a while. I mean, I know Simmons
Yeah,
and Embiid were too, but they were there for a long time.
they were
For
there
a
on
long
the
time.
Supersonics.
Yeah, like
So it
they
was
both were
like,
drafted there, and they played there, and they won there.
yeah, that was electric. That was electric. I wish that rivalry didn't kind of fade out because the people knew,
Yeah, I
but
wish so too. But yeah,
let's
no, we'll flip over to some college hoops. You know,
yeah, what do you got for me?
this is the best one of the best times of the year, I think, in my opinion, other than March Madness, because you can't really compare that or like tournament time in March. This is some of the best time because you're gonna see this is where you finally start seeing like prime time matchups between ranked
Marquee
teams. That
matchups, yeah.
like this is the time when you go to the tournaments and you like the Maui Invitational last night, Creighton and Arkansas was a great game. That's already up there like game of the year candidate. That was unreal. Arkansas, they started out a little bit cold. Creighton, they were hitting their shots, and the second half started, and Arkansas just came out hot. They came out shooting, they came out defensively energized, and they were making stops, and they made Creighton look like uncomfortable. But the biggest thing in that game is how uncomfortable Creighton looked, and then all of a sudden they could switch out of it. They really switched out of that uncomfortability, and they started knocking their shots down, and they looked like a true top 10. I would almost say top 16, maybe top 7 team in the nation. Like they had great point guard play, and even with Kaluma not even playing well, a lot of turnovers. Like he had I think at least 6 just off of dribbling. Shireman was just shooting the ball from hell. He was just pulling up and he was knocking down. Nemhart looked great. Nemhart looked real good last night. And they just shut him down. They did not shut him down, but they just quieted Arkansas. They made them not energized. And every answer that Arkansas had in the second half, Creighton had one in response.
Although it was a close game, like you gotta think that like veteran leadership and experience came into play late time
Yeah.
situation because Arkansas is basically relying on, you know, freshmen. They
Yeah.
do have a few guys who have been around or have been transferred over from other programs, but like they're still a fairly young, they're a pretty young team. And
Yeah, they are.
Creighton's got that leadership all across the board on their whole starting lineup is there.
Mm-hmm.
And Nemhard, I'm so big on Nemhard. That whole family is just built to be true point guards. Like his brother Andrew, who's on the Pacers now, they're just like so smart. They have the greatest IQs. They remind me of like Tyus Jones and Trey Jones, like that kind of
Yeah.
family. They're just like
Yeah.
pure true point guards. And those two have it. Nemhard's going to be huge for them this year. Shireman too. The
Yeah.
fact that
Shireman.
Kaluma had a bad game and the
Mm-hmm.
rest of them could still pick it up, like that's literally what you need to win championships. You know, somebody that you rely on every night has
Yep.
a bad game, but the next 4 guys can pick it up.
And it
It's
wasn't
big.
like Kaluma played. He played bad. It was the second half was better than the first. The first half was just not. He didn't look good at all. But he still gave him length defensively. He made a huge block in the second half, like crunch time within the last 5 minutes, huge block, and then he ran the floor too. Like he's still doing all the stuff that he's good at, but offensively he couldn't figure it out. He was definitely uncomfortable last night. It didn't look it wasn't him, you know. So Nemhard took over. What it is with him, he's just crafty. Like, you know, he can just dribble real quick right by you and then either take that layup or he look for the foul. He can bump you a little bit, go right up, or lob it up. He can pass right out of
Smart.
that too.
He's
It's
smart.
just knowledge. His brother obviously being a D1 player at Gonzaga and now in the league. Like it's you could clearly tell they had the good conversations, a good play when they're growing up. It's
Yeah.
that I'm telling you, Creighton might be a problem, man. I the
Definitely.
coaching they've been there in the past. They know what to coaching staff knows what to expect. So as long as they can get their players ready to go, they might be there because they got the shooting, they got the defense, they got the tall big man, and they got the smarts for it. They got the intelligence. So that's what
Arkansas
you
has
need in
given
March.
me like traditional, like the typical Kentucky vibes each year, where it's like they
Yeah,
have like this year they have like kind of like a draft class factory, where
yeah.
like Anthony Black, Nick Smith,
Nick
who's
Smith
the
didn't
other
play though
player?
last night, so that
He
I
didn't
will
play,
say
yeah,
I'll give him that.
he
I will
didn't
give
play,
him that.
but they kind of have like that draft class factor right now where it's like a lot of those kids are going to enter the draft. And I think they have some good prospects on that team. Anthony Black has looked like a
Yeah,
stud.
he
He's
played
looked like
great
a
last
stud.
night.
He had a great night last night. Nick Smith is like realistically going to be at least a top 6 pick in my opinion.
Yeah,
But they have it. They just this is why I worry about. So like we have a friend Brandon, right? He thinks that he's so big on Arkansas. When it comes down to the tournament, you need experience. You need
yeah.
experience.
Yep.
And that's a game last night is an example of like you can't close out a game because these guys haven't been in this situation before. They're
Yep.
not tested for that.
He's also a Duke fan, and Duke fans don't know shit about anything. You
Yeah,
know, they
shout
they, they
out
think they could
Brandon,
just. Yeah, no shout out, Brandon.
pussy.
I'm gonna insert the highlight of Caleb Love shooting over Mark Williams just for him right now, dickhead.
Yeah, that'll be the last time we mention him. The hell out of here,
Probably.
Brandon. But yeah, I thought that was a big game for Creighton. And honestly, like if I'm Arkansas, I'm not gonna hang my head. Like
Mhm.
realistically, someone who could be your best player this year didn't play in that game.
Yeah,
They're gonna win a
yeah,
lot of games in the regular season, but that experience factor is definitely gonna be crucial when tournament play comes around.
yeah. But this was one of those experience games. So you add it to their belt. It's like, all right, we were in this with another. It's not like Creighton's like a bad team.
No,
They're not.
no,
No, they're a top 10 team. Like they're still a good team. Like this experience is going to be helpful for them.
yeah,
You
they'll
got to
learn
give
from
you'll give them that. But
they'll
the
learn
San
from
Diego State game after, I was expecting this one to be also another good one, and they folded. They just couldn't shoot the ball. I think they shot 15% from three. They just they just couldn't figure out anything offensively. Two guys had double digit points, 21 and 10. Some guy off the bench had 10. And Arizona had, I think, 5 or 6 players
I
with
think
double digits.
Arizona's whole starting lineup hit double digits, I
I
think.
think everybody but one. I forget who the one was, but everybody but one. And it wasn't like they just had 10. It was 21, 15, 14. Like good points though. Arizona controlled that game. They from the start too. It wasn't even close. They had
I'm
good,
not
comfortable leads.
I'm not big on San Diego State to be honest, because it's like so they got Nathan Mensah, a big, and then Matt Bradley, their guard. They're a
Yeah,
they're a good defensive team, but like the issue with that is that and those two are their best defenders. So like
yeah,
the fact that your two best defenders are also your two best scorers, like you're gonna hit foul trouble in big
yeah,
games, and like then it's
yep.
like depth comes into play, and it's not like they have like they have a good development like team. Like they really like develop players fairly well, but at the same time, they're not bringing in crazy draft classes where it's like
Right,
next man up sort of system. Like you don't really have the
right.
luxury to just throw in another guy who can perform as well as your starting point guard. Like it's not going to
Hmm.
happen. But then Arizona on the other hand, they got Courtney Ramey who transferred in from Texas. I'm a big fan of his. He
Yeah,
played
he's a
real
good
well
player.
last night. And then uh I don't know how to pronounce his name. Azulis Tubelis or something.
Yeah,
The big guy.
Tubelis. Yeah.
The night before on Monday, he dropped 30 on Cincinnati, and that was a great game. That game got up into the 90s. They
Hmm.
they are a team to watch out for. They have that other point guard, Kerr Kriisa. He's like that veteran type point guard where he's just gonna control the game. That's what you need. Like every
Worked the
team
ball
needs
around a little
that.
bit. He had
Exactly. Every
21
team needs
last
that
night
point
too.
guard. He what?
He had 21 last night, Grisa.
Yeah, he's good.
And I will say, if you look at like, San Diego State, they didn't even work the ball around a lot. They had 4 assists for the whole team last night. They didn't. I don't know what kind of offense they were running. If they just weren't knocking down shots, or they just weren't able to create good and open or clean looks. But they can't even. They weren't. They didn't look like any talent last night. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it's pathetic. I mean, I kind of see Arizona like I kind of like came into that game thinking like first off the spread was like -1.5,
Yeah.
-2 points. That's like ridiculous. Like I think Arizona's way better than them, and they proved it. But I think San Diego State belongs in like the 21 to 25 range in the top 25 because they will do well in their conference enough
Right.
to keep a real good record, but I don't think they can hang with these top 10 teams.
Nah, I agree with that. I mean, I think Arizona can make a good run. I like their team of the depth and with the experience there. I like Ramey a lot. I think from Texas last year, he played well there. I think this year at Arizona, it's going to be more of his team, you know,
Yeah.
and I think he'll be able to. score some points for them and make them make a good run.
Yeah, I like him. The Phil Knight tournaments are also coming up as well. So the Phil Knight Legacy and then the Phil Knight Invitational, which is kind of
Yeah,
confusing, but
I don't know why they would do that shit. It was stupid.
Duke's in one, North Carolina's in the other. I don't know which one is which that they're in, but
The legacy is Duke, and then Invitational is
Invitational is
Carolina.
North Carolina. They incorporated a lot of those are they're good tournaments, but since it's in Portland, they're trying to be a little bit more inclusive with some of those teams in Oregon.
Yeah,
So it's like
yeah,
the Portland University, Portland State University's in there, Oregon State's in there, and Oregon's in there too. But Oregon's a good program.
yeah. They've got NBA talent on that team.
Yeah. So that should be an interesting tournament. The Invitational, the one that Carolina's in, that one's got some better competition in my opinion. I think that'll be a
It
fun one.
you have North Carolina, Bama, Michigan State, Villanova's there. Like those are like the if you look at those are some of the blue bloods. Villanova, they've won national championships within the last 5 years. Carolina, they've been there, they've won. Michigan State that's a blue blood, definitely a blue blood. Alabama has got good talent now. They're turning into like a football and basketball program. They're not a football school. They're both. You can't really you like most of these SEC schools that try to be good at basketball. It lasts maybe a year, maybe two. Like LSU tried. Like they got Ben Simmons, and that didn't last long. Sharif O'Neal was there. Like that didn't turn out into anything. Nas Reed, NBA talent, but they get these prospects and they're nothing. But I'm excited for that tournament because Alabama, Michigan State in the first round, and then I mean if North Carolina wins, you got North Carolina versus if Villanova wins. There's a rematch of 2017. There's two teams that know each other rather well, two very talented teams, two teams with prospects on there. Like this is gonna be a really good tournament.
Yeah, I wonder if North
I
Carolina
think
can get
one of the
their
best.
wonder if North Carolina can get their first 20-point win against a bum ass team.
They probably should have won by 20 versus JMU. They look. I'm not worried about that. Who cares about winning by 20 points? A win's a win.
I'm just saying, you're just underperforming against all these
No,
bad teams.
no. I mean, I wouldn't even say we're
You are,
underperforming.
you
I would
are.
not say that. I would not say that there's underperform. I mean, Caleb Love's underperforming. I'll give you that. You said that. I gave him a chance, and he's still doing the same thing. He's still not shooting the ball well. Look, at the end of the day, we were still getting some of the depth back. Puff Johnson just came back against JMU, played limited minutes, but he's finally back now. Seth Trimble is probably going to start playing more over DeMarco Dunn and Dontrez Styles because he's actually very good. I'm telling you, he's the dude right there. He gives energy, he plays defense, and he's a quick scorer.
Trimble's
He
good.
can do it. Trimble is a very talented player, and I think realistically, if Caleb Love isn't playing well, it's good. It's so hard to do this move if you're Hubert Davis, but if RJ Davis, because he's been playing well, and if Caleb keeps being inefficient, his numbers are going to drop in minutes, and Trimble's are going to go up because he hasn't had a bad game. He plays
You'll
defense
lose
better.
if Caleb Love doesn't play as many minutes. Like you're gonna lose big games. He's
You
your
still
big
need your big
shot
time
maker.
players to show. Yeah, you need your big time players to show up. Baycott's been there. He had a game where he had to shoot the ball too well, but Pete Nance he's been looking good. He finally understood like when he gets the ball and like Hubert wants him to shoot, like shoot. Don't be afraid to we're not going to take you out. Like your numbers may be affected, but just keep shooting.
He's
Like
gonna be good for you guys.
Brady Manick wasn't afraid to shoot last year, and you saw it. He never is because he could just rise up and he gets a clean, good stroke like from deep. And Pete Nance needs to learn how to do that. That's all it is. I'm telling you, it's early in the year, man. Like
I just got
they're
to see them play somebody. I just got to see them play
they'll
play.
see if when they beat Portland, they'll play Villanova.
Hey, don't count that game out yet. You guys haven't
Yeah.
looked good yet. You'll be playing on Portland's home court, so we'll see. Dude, your strength of schedule so far has been disgusting. Like I'm so mad about it. Everybody else has played. Every other team in the top 10 has already played somebody like to their same talent level. I just need to see it. I'm dying to see how they pan out.
We'll see it.
I
We'll
mean,
see
I'm
it in the next.
obviously like rooting on their downfall, like
Well, think
absolutely
about
fuck
this.
Carolina.
We'll see Villanova. We'll see either Michigan State or Alabama. And then guess what? We play Indiana next week. You want to see it? Number 4 team in the country next week.
Oh, I'm totally betting on Indiana that game. Trace Jackson Davis is gonna give Baycott hell. hell.
I thought he was a 4.
He's their big. No, he's definitely their five.
He was a 4.
I think
Either way,
Race Thompson plays four.
I still think Pete Nance might guard him just because Baycot's slower. Pete Nance
Nah,
is quicker
Baycott's got to
defensively.
guard him. Baycott's got to
I don't
guard
know.
him. Jackson Davis is dominant. Yeah, that'll be a fun
Baycot's a
game.
big boy though. He ain't gonna do nothing down low.
And mark my words, right? I'll tell you what. This is what I think the committee will do, and I am so serious about this because of Carolina, who they've played so far, and none of them were really like super strong wins. Yeah, a win's a win, but like you're winning by 15 points against like a bad team, like you're supposed to beat up on those teams. And if they beat Portland, but then they lose their first game, whether against Michigan State, Villanova, I would not be surprised if they fall to maybe like what?
Out of the top 10 if they lose to Michigan State, who's number 12, or Bama, who will
I
beat
was gonna
Michigan State, who's 12. If they lose to one of those two teams, they're staying within the top 6.
I was gonna say I think they fall to the 7 to 10 range.
I would understand that because realistically, Gonzaga. What's it? So it's UNC, Houston. Who's 3? Because number 4 is
Everything got
Indiana. Who's 3?
everything got wait, Indiana got bumped to number 4?
Yeah,
Oh
like
shit.
one of the like weird. I think Andy Katz they put one out there. Let me see.
Oh shit. I thought because they were number 12, but I don't think they had
Kansas is 3. That's
Kansas.
it.
We'll see. We'll see
Salk
how.
Indiana was 4, but they're 11, I guess.
Yeah, they were number 12. I was gonna say 4 would be nuts because I think their most recent win was over like Xavier. And Xavier's, obviously not that crazy. They're good, but nothing out of the water.
So Duke is 8. No, I saw. See, that's the thing. I saw Duke was. I guess it was Andy Katz's rankings. That was what it was. Because I saw Duke at like 12, 13, but they're 8. They're not falling behind Duke. They're probably Baylor might be. I don't know. They might go to 6. I would say 6. They'll probably push Houston to 1, Kansas 2, Texas 3, Virginia 4, Gonzaga 5, UNC 6.
Depending on if they lose and
Or
how bad they
Creighton.
lose.
Or Creighton goes to 6 and UNC goes to 7.
Whoever wins is like I can't imagine that they would put UNC over somebody who's like winning games if UNC loses. Like they would have to go in they would only go as far back as like before the next team that had the most recent loss, in my opinion.
Number 6.
Okay. We'll see.
So Duke, Arkansas all have losses. Creighton's the next undefeated team at 6-0, and Indiana at 4-0, and then Michigan State at 12. So
Okay.
they're not dropping out of the top 8.
We'll see. But let me hop into something else that's been grinding my gears lately. I gotta go off on it. The Louisville basketball team is atrocious. Absolutely god awful. Kenny Payne, first year head coach. He spent some time with the Knicks. He spent some time under Calipari at Kentucky. I'm not putting this on him really. He didn't get much in the transfer portal or recruiting wise. He got a center from Tennessee, I believe, Brandon Huntley Hatfield. He was a freshman last year. And like he's got some potential, but that team just looks pathetic. They have nobody who can like really command the floor and go out there and like actually lead them to a win. Their leading scorer, L. Ellis, sick name, has like 20, he's averaging like 22 and a half, 23 a game. It's like he's like somewhat playing well, but at the same time, it's like nobody else is doing anything. Like they are so hard to watch. Huh?
They're 0-5. They haven't
They're
even
on
got a
five.
single win yet.
They're terrible. They're terrible. They lost to Appalachian State on like
Mhm.
they hit a buzzer beater, but it didn't count. They lost to
Yep.
Bellarmine. They're just pathetic. They're so bad. It's like it's hard to watch. The game against Texas Tech was so difficult to watch. They
Terrible.
scored 38 points the entire game. They lost 70 to 38. At one point the game was it was 16 to 11. Texas Tech was winning. The score at halftime was 32 to
Yep.
13. Like how do you let that slip? Like, how can you? I just don't understand how you can't manage to score more than 2 points, which were free throws. It wasn't a bucket. You can't even get a bucket the rest of the half. Like, I don't know
They're in
what's up.
trouble.
They're in a lot of trouble, and they just
They're
ruined
they're
their
in some
chances.
serious trouble.
I think if they started well this year, they might have been able to get DJ Wagner because I'm pretty sure Kenny Payne is DJ Wagner's godfather. So that might
Even
have
either way, I
played a
still
big
don't think they
role.
had a chance to get him. I still
When
don't think they had a chance to get DJ.
when
I
families
understand the whole
involved,
family
there's
thing.
there's
Yeah,
always a chance. When families
yeah.
involved, there's a chance.
But at the same time, like Louisville is still a good program over time, like history and all. But when it's like Kentucky and your dad went to Kentucky and Louisville, it's like you're gonna go to Kentucky. They have look at the recruiting class. They have one of the best recruiting classes next year. Almost, I wouldn't say all time because that's tough to like compare, but they
Yeah,
definitely have the best one next year coming in, all the
yeah,
freshmen.
yeah. They did a
So
they did
like,
a,
but they're
a
Louisville is in
stellar job.
serious trouble.
They are. They're
They
going
they
downhill
they
quick.
got blown out by Texas Tech. They got Cincinnati. Then they got to go play Maryland, who's 23, Miami, and then Florida State. I don't see them getting a win unless they beat Cincinnati. I don't see them getting even a win until Western Kentucky, December 14th.
Their only chance in any of those games is Florida State because Florida State's looked like dog shit too.
I still think Florida State could be a better team just because Louisville's they haven't won a game. Yeah, they might be hungry for a win, but at the same time, when you got to beat teams that are bad, Florida State Leonard Hamilton's going to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. A rookie head coach too. He's going to make sure his team's ready to go for that.
Yeah, it's bad news at Louisville right now. They gotta do something, turn
You,
something around. I don't know what they can do because they look bad. Like after their first three
I'll be
games,
honest.
I was going around saying as far as like this is the worst Division One team in the country. Like they look so
You could
bad.
argue that. You could argue that. Like
They look
when
so
they
bad.
when they lost to Appalachian State off that buzzer beater, I was watching that live. They all got so excited, like, "Oh, this could be where we turned around. We won a game. We got a game under the belt." It was like it wasn't even a close like they got lucky that the referee even gave them like the basket at the time. Like the live call was that it was good.
Yeah,
It wasn't
ball was
even
still in his hand.
close. It wasn't even close. Like it's just like you shouldn't even gotten to that point. You can't get to that point if you're Louisville, man. You got to be winning that whole game. You got to be not blowing them out. We got to be up like 7, 8, 10. Appalachian State, man. Like
They're a
I don't.
disgrace.
I can't believe that how quick of a turnaround that was for Louisville too. Like usually, like when teams are bad, it's not going to be this bad. But like if you're a good team and then you have a bad year, it's going to be like you'll be like, oh, start out 2-4, 2-3, like 3-5, whatever. Not 0-5.
Yeah,
Like
they're
I just said,
bad.
they shouldn't have beaten Texas Tech or Arkansas. Like you're not going to win those games, so there's 2 losses. But you should be with those other games. They should be winning. They should have beat Bellarmine. They should have beat Appalachian State, and they lost to a D3 school, and then Wright State as well. I'm not sure if Bellarmine was the D3 school, but
No, in
in the
in their
exhibition game,
exhibition
yeah,
game, they lost to a Division II school.
yeah. Oh, it's Division 2. Okay, either way, it does not matter. That's
I
bad.
just I just don't get it, man.
It's
That's
going to be a
so
long time for that win.
it most likely is, but I'm putting it on my schedule to make sure I don't watch another Louisville game for the rest of the season unless they're playing Syracuse because I do not want to watch that team play. It's just bad basketball.
I've only watched that end of the game at Appalachian State. I'm not tuning in another one.
They're awful. They're awful. I feel
Yeah, I'm
bad for
not
Kenny
watching.
Payne because Kenny Payne's been around. He's
Right.
been in his fair share of programs, and then he also spent some time with the Knicks, and so he understands disgusting basketball. So he
Because it wasn't like he was on that team in the playoff. He was on like the bad Knicks teams, like 2015, 2016 Knicks. They were
Alexi
bad.
Shved era.
Yeah, when they had their starting lineup was a bunch of who's. Like
Yeah,
oh man, those were the days. I miss those days, huh? It's like
I'm sure you
still
do.
look
I'm
like
sure you do.
that.
That's
Still look
that's
like
what
that.
Knicks fans love. They just love to like remember all the awful teams they rooted for. They're like, "Oh, Lou Amundsen, that was my favorite player in 2013." Lou Amundsen, the guy's probably flipping
Louis,
pancakes at a diner in
Langston Galloway,
Australia.
baby.
Langston
Langston
Galloway.
Galloway was my guy.
Yeah, he's out playing with the Shanghai Sharks.
Hey, relax. Put some respect in. He played for Team USA. All right.
Whatever. If he's the best player, then we're gonna lose to fucking everybody. We're gonna lose to Papua New Guinea or whatever the fuck it is.
Papua New Guinea.
Whatever. I don't know
Well,
how you pronounce it.
no, that is that's a country. That's a team. Or I mean, I don't know if they have a team, but that's a country. Put it
Well,
that
if
way.
they have a team, they're beating us in Langston Galloway's.
Yeah, put some respect on that team. Pemberton was on that. All right, relax.
All right, I will. So then Pemberton's the best player because for sure Galloway isn't.
See.
But we
Well,
got a Turkey Day tomorrow. Nice little slate of games. What's on your mind for this Lions Bills game? You think Dan Campbell can pull it off?
of a win. The Bills just haven't been playing well at all recently, and they're not going to win, but they'll keep it maybe competitive for the first half.
Okay.
I mean, look at their defense last week versus the Giants. I mean, Daniel Jones was able to run the ball, and Josh Allen can run. So the issue is Josh Allen's the better runner. Can they contain him? No. But Daniel Jones, like they were doing the read option, and the Giants just gave up on it. I don't know why they gave up on it. I mean, they were stuffing the run for Barkley. He didn't get anything going. But when you have that read option working, that will open up Saquon Barkley's lanes. And that would also, if they go off to Saquon, Jones is going to pull it a run. And I saw them do it 3, 4 times, and he'll get like 7 to 10 yards each carry. And they just left it in the second half. They didn't go back to it. I don't know why, but Jones is not comparable to Allen. We know that. And Allen's better. I think he's just going to go out there and be like, all right, relax. We're still the Bills. We're still, and that
Yeah.
defense is the truth. That defense is the truth.
Yeah, the Lions are so inconsistent. They like pick and choose weeks when they wanna play defense and play good offense. Like I think realistically the way this game goes, the Lions either lose by 3 points or they lose by 3 touchdowns. There's not gonna be an in between. I can't see them keeping it close and then like end up only losing by like 10 points. Like they're gonna find a way. Goff will find a way to either throw a pick six or a game tying touchdown. Like it's
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
one or the other. No in between
He
on that.
controller, but when the game's out of hand already, there's not gonna be much he can do. He's
It's
gonna get
all on
hit.
the
He's gonna
Bills,
get hit.
really. It's all on the
Yeah.
Bills, really. The Bills are either going to keep slumping and maybe make things interesting, or they're going to be back and they're going to win by 30 fucking points. Like,
I don't think they're gonna slump. I think this is the time where the Bills turn it over. 12 o'clock, noon, Thanksgiving Day. Like
but the
they'll be
Lions are
out.
always here on Thanksgiving though, so you
Yeah,
never
it
know.
doesn't matter.
You
The
never know
Lions always
though.
there on Thanksgiving. Yeah, trust me. At the end of the day, at the end of the game, who's getting that turkey leg? It's going to be Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and probably Von Miller.
Yeah,
Let's be real.
probably.
The trio's getting that turkey leg.
Yeah, that's
But I
fine.
mean, the Cowboys Giants game, this has the potential to be a great game. But who are the Giants receivers going to be trailing and covering the entire game? Slayton. I think he's going to be in the slot though, so I don't know. Like if they, as long as Barkley has less than 60 yards, 70 yards rushing, this game's not going to be close.
That's not going to happen.
I last week he didn't
That's not
against the
happening.
Lions. Come on, the
Like
Cowboys
I said
defense is
though,
way better
the
than
Lions are streaky, so we'll see. We'll see.
good. They're just as streaky too. Their defense is actually good. You know what? Like those edge rushers are probably the two best in the league on one single like that. Him and Lawrence and Parsons, some of the best in the league.
Yeah,
And then you go
Parsons is
with
an animal.
and they have two good or they have a good linebacker in Vander Esch. Like they have some guys that can stuff the run, and they have guys on the outside that can cover the receivers that are dog shit anyway for the Giants. But I'm telling you, this as long as Barkley doesn't go off for over 120, 130 yards, this game's not going to be close.
Dude, the name Leighton Vander Esch, like he's got to be from like Wyoming or like North Dakota. That's just like
I
the
think it's like a
most like
Midwest.
I'm looking it up. He's from friggin' Idaho, of course. Like that's just like the most like Idaho name, Leighton Vander Esch. Anyways, sorry that name kind of got to me. But I think that game has the potential to be interesting. Anytime there's a divisional game, it's also prime time. We're talking Thanksgiving. I think that game has the potential to be a close game. I do think the Cowboys win the game, but I could see them winning by like by like 6 or something along those lines. I don't expect the Giants to roll over. I mean, I think they bounce back. Had a bad week this past week. They have no choice but to bounce back. I mean, now like it's like, yeah, they started off hot. They're looking good, but like now it's like crunch time. You know, they got to start stepping up.
The Cowboys, their offense can get hot. Last week they played damn well. If they get hot and they like Dak starts to actually like seeing the game true and starts connecting with his receivers, and then they start their running back tandem's great. So if they have all the weapons they need. It's really all up to Dak for the most part. As long and if he keeps like getting hot, I could see this being a 10 point, 14 point win, maybe even 17.
It could be.
Because it's
It
the
could be.
I could see something like that happening.
It could be. But for the last game we'll touch on here, Pats Vikings. Um, I think this could be a good game, but after the Vikings last week just getting wiped up, like that was like embarrassing for them. And the Patriots are going to be this will be the Patriots' second game in a matter of 12 days, I believe. So like this past Sunday they play, and then they play this Thursday, and then they play the following Thursday. So it's either going to get to them this week or it's going to get to them next week. But I don't think they're going to have a good turnaround here and be able to play, because like realistically, even though they beat the Jets, they didn't look good. Like, yeah, the Jets looked bad last week, but like the Patriots didn't look much better. You know, they were struggling to move the
Nick
ball.
Folk missed 3 field goals, so realistically, the game shouldn't have ended the way it did. But you're right. No, their offense struggled still. They only got 3 points on offense, so
Yeah, and the Vikings played awful as well. Like they just got absolutely shut down and torched.
they played worse.
Yeah, so I think the Vikings will have something to say about this, but I don't know. It is prime time, and Kirk Cousins tends to suck
I was
dick
gonna
in prime
say
time.
this is primetime Kirk. Is this the game where he turns it around on prime time? Not against Bill.
I don't
Not
know.
against
I don't
Bill.
know. Yeah, Bill, Mr. Belichick might have something to say about that, so we'll see.
Is he's gonna go out here and his defensive scheme is to shut down the best option on the Vikings. And who is that? Jefferson.
Not happening.
That is the way if you look at how Bill won, if the Patriots want to win the game, Jefferson's gonna have no impact on the game at all. Because that's just what Bill he might send the double team to Jefferson the entire time. Like every single play, it might be a safety and a corner on Jefferson, and he's gonna have to make some spectacular catches to even have an impact. The player to watch if that happens, Thielen. Thielen, if they're doubling him, Thielen he's always good at finding the open spot of a zone or just making a move and getting away from man-to-man coverage. Thielen is the guy in this game. I have a very good possibility that Thielen might be the reason why the Vikings win.
If the Pats win, I think the MVP will be Matthew Judon, their D end. I mean, if he keeps causing havoc and gets to Cousins, it's going to be a long day for Cousins. My other comment about Judon is that last year he said that mac and cheese is the most disgusting Thanksgiving side and meal of all time. He said that in public. He should be he should be crucified for that. That's just that's a sin to go out and
Be
say.
honest with you, mac and cheese is great, but at my Thanksgiving we don't have mac and cheese,
I have it for
unfortunately.
Thanksgiving. I don't have it for Thanksgiving, but he just said it's like the worst thing that America
Uh,
presents, and that's awful. That's
just
just
saying that.
unreal.
What's
So
what's the worst meal or what's the worst food at Thanksgiving?
the worst food. Hmm. I don't
Dish.
know. Like I don't think there is one. Like just stuffing my face with
I'm
everything.
happy you said that. I know people that say Thanksgiving is the worst holiday and has the worst food. I said, you're just wrong.
Dude,
You're just
whoever says
completely
that
wrong.
is like fucking delusional.
Fantastic. Mashed potatoes, fantastic. You have, yams with the marshmallows on. Come on. That's
Different.
underrated. I mean,
Yes.
turkey's good, a little overrated sometimes, but when you get some good gravy on there, woo,
Dude, I
the
get my
dessert.
best sleep of the year after I eat a Thanksgiving meal. Are you kidding me? And then
Go home.
the later that night, I go in the fridge and I
The
get two
sandwich.
pieces of bread and just
Yeah.
everything on the plate in that sandwich. Are you
hmm
kidding?
And
God
that's right before
almighty.
bed. That's when you get home. You still have your dessert and all that, but yeah, and then the next day you do the same thing and you have four of them.
Crazy. And the
You got to kill
dessert
that.
too. Oh my God. There's everything.
The
You got the pumpkin
pies,
pie, the pecan pie, whatever else people
apple.
have. Christ. Christ.
Maybe you probably some little cake in there, Sometimes a little cookie. I don't know.
Anybody bringing cake to Thanksgiving, nobody's touching that shit. Throw the pies out on the table and let's go to work.
2 slices of apple pie, probably 2 slices of pumpkin. I'm not a big pecan pie guy, but I mean, 4 slices of pie is enough,
Yeah, I'd say.
realistically.
I think you're probably good at 4, right? It's a little crazy.
Dinner. Maybe I could go for 5.
Yeah. What's your
I
break
might
time in between? Your break time in between dinner and pie?
I so the issue is with the 4 o'clock Cowboys, like usually we'll eat around. It depends, like 4:30, 5, depending on the house. Because my one aunt is late with everything. It's just how it is.
Everybody's
So it
got
depends where we're at. Um, Probably around like 5 we'll eat, and then right at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. Realistically, the desserts are coming out right at the prime time football.
See,
Sometimes,
that's what I need. That's what
sometimes they come out quicker though. Like sometimes there'll be like smaller desserts that are already out and about, but the pies are in the fridge. So like they're, you know what I mean? They're in there or like the oven for like they. If my one aunt likes to make them fresh. Like she'll have it ready and she'll put it in. But oh, I can't forget about the ice cream too. Ice cream scoops. I forgot about that on the pie.
yeah.
But sometimes it's like the 8 o'clock.
My dad will sit at the table and grub like he's going like he's getting sent to the electric chair. And then after that, he'll like 30 minutes later, Jody, start brewing the coffee. We're ready for pie. Start cutting the pies. 30 minutes goes by. Nobody's digested anything. This guy's ready to house a pie on his own. It's absurd.
That because I after every time I eat, even if it's not Thanksgiving, even if I had dinner tonight, I need something sweet. I need something sweet like that. I need to. Like I'll just go to the fridge, have like whipped cream, a little and I
Yeah,
need something
yeah, I believe it. I believe it. We gotta get
like
out
a
of this.
small little piece of a chocolate. Yeah, I'm getting hungry.
Holy shit, you're a big ass. All right. The next thing I wanna get into a little segment that we're gonna be trying out. We're gonna call it the Pit Boss Plays of the week. So essentially, we're gonna have like a running record at the end of each month. We're gonna give 3 plays each podcast, and then we're gonna keep a running record. And whoever has the worst record at the end of each month is gonna have a punishment that we're gonna throw on the podcast. So at the end of we're taking it easy for this one because this is the end of November. So at the end of December, we're gonna have a little punishment in here that we'll throw on the podcast for you guys to enjoy. You're gonna be seeing a lot more of Tommy than me, but that's how this is gonna go.
I'm gonna beat the shit out of Casey for the punishment of the month of December. Simply, he's just gonna have to take 5 of my shots to the face, just and he's
That's
just
it.
going.
That sounds like a nice little easy punishment to start this off. But I'll kick it off here. Yeah, wake up, bozo. I'll kick it off here. I got a few plays for you. So although Tommy thinks, Bill Belichick is going to try to shut down Justin Jefferson, there's only so much you can do. The guy will beat you deep. He's going to hang over the middle. He's going to hang in the zone. He'll run his little curl routes. He's gonna find his way to get open. I'm taking Justin Jefferson on the over 85.5 receiving yards. I think he clears that pretty easily. Even if he doesn't score a touchdown, I think he's probably gonna have another 10 reception, 110-yard game. That's something I'm counting on him for. So I'm gonna go over 85.5 receiving yards for Justin Jefferson for my first pick. What do you got for yours?
I'm gonna stay in that same game, and like I was saying, Thielen. I'm gonna go Thielen anytime touchdown. I borderline almost wanted to say first touchdown. Those are too difficult to do. I borderline almost did, but I'm gonna go anytime, just because I'm gonna, the first. Those are too difficult to do.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever hit on anything I've said with that.
Hmm.
But I'm gonna go anytime touchdown with Thielen. I think he's gonna get the separation. I think if Jefferson's getting the double teams, where he's gonna get at least half of the game, he'll be doubled on his passing attempts. Thielen's gonna be Kirk Cousins' safe net, so I'm gonna take him anytime.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna move over to the divisional game with the Giants and Cowboys. Like I was saying earlier, I think the Cowboys win the game, but divisional game on Thanksgiving, I just need the Giants to stick around. And I think they will. I could see this game being fairly low scoring as well because the Giants defense is no joke either. They're not a pushover defense either. So I could see this game, being maybe like a 10-3 Cowboys at halftime, but then Giants find a way to stick around in the second half. I think 9.5 points. I would like it to be 10.5. 10.5 would make me feel more comfortable. 9.5, I feel like Vegas is like just plotting to screw me over. But I'll take the 9.5 and roll with that.
Game, I don't know what it is. I don't see the Giants being able to keep it close. I think the first half might be close, maybe. I know it's a divisional game. Usually these are always closer, but at the same time, the Cowboys, they had a great performance against a great team last week. The Giants didn't have a great performance last week. The receivers are just not good. They don't have anybody other than Slayton, and Slayton's like average. It's not like he's fantastic. He's average. Their tight end, I don't even know who their tight end is. And I just think that the Cowboys are going to be able to stuff Saquon Barkley. I mean, my pick, I'm gonna probably take the Cowboys minus the 9.5. I think they could win the game by 10, by 14. But if they want to do that, Barkley's got to stay under 70 rushing yards. I think 80, he might get 2 touchdowns, whatever. But 70, you have to contain him. It starts with him because if you contain him, that takes the read option out of the play. It means you got Daniel Jones can't use his legs. You have to let Daniel Jones beat you with the arm, and that's where I think the Cowboys are going to create turnovers. If because Daniel Jones is known to do that. The Cowboys defense is known to get turnovers. So if they throw the ball, I'm thinking a couple picks, maybe a fumble. I'm taking the Cowboys 9.5.
Let's go. Let's go head to head. I like that. I like that. My last pick for the Pit Boss plays of this week. I'm gonna go Jamal Williams on the Lions anytime touchdown. He exploded last week for 3 touchdowns in the game against the Giants, excuse me. And he's got the most touchdowns in the league. And although DeAndre Swift gets them down the field, they just don't use him in the red zone. So anytime they're within 10, 15 yards, I expect Jamal Williams to get a carry. I expect him to punch in at least a touchdown in that game. Yeah, the Bills' defense is good, but it's not like the Lions haven't played good defenses yet this year, and Jamal Williams is still finding his way into the end zone. So I like that. And I don't know why Vegas is still pricing him as plus money. He's, I believe, plus 105 to score this week. When you got the most touchdowns in the league, you would think, it would be more favored that he's getting in the end zone or finding his way. And it's not like he's only getting the carries in the red zone too. He's getting those carries, but at the same time, this past week he had, I believe, 17 carries, and obviously those aren't all goal line carries. So I think
Uh,
he's got a chance.
Swift is a little banged up. That's why he's getting more of the carries now. It's not like he's like fully hurt where he can't play, but they're taking it precautionary because Swift is still one of the best players on the team. But he's a little hurt, so I like that one. I like the excuse me, I like that pick a lot. In this game, I'm yet again another 9.5 line. Lions are at home, obviously. They're always there at 12 o'clock. I the Bills have been struggling. I just don't see them not being able to win this game by 9.5 again. I it might be a trap. I think the Cowboys is more of a trap. I think the Bills are the team that might actually be able to win by 9.5, more likely than the Cowboys. But at the end of the day, they haven't been playing well. It's finally letting everybody know we're still the Bills. We're still one of the best teams in AFC. And what you do if you're one of the best teams in AFC, you show up and you blow teams out that you should be. The Bills' defense is too good. I think they're going to be able to go out there and Amon St. Brown is the topic number one at the receiver. They'll be able to hold him to manage probably maybe like 6 catches, nothing too crazy. Oh, he's still going to get his targets, but everything's going to be short. They're not letting him get deep. And I think Josh Allen's just going to torch them. I think he might be the Thanksgiving player the whole day. He might go out there and have 5 touchdowns himself.
He
That
might.
that that might be my bold pick. I'm taking the Bills 9.5. My bold pick of the day is Josh Allen 5 touchdowns and probably over 400 total yards.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Slow your roll there, Bucko. Okay.
Defenses, they showed up last week. They don't show up back to back weeks ever,
I
ever.
can see it. I can
That
see it.
he's just gonna torch them.
By the way, we suggest to play these as straight bets. I wouldn't I mean you can if you want, but these are meant to be straight plays. So, 2 out of 3, profitable day. That's what we're shooting for on that.
Thinking maybe you could combine two of them, maybe take one of the anytime touchdowns, go with another straight bet on a team. do it that way, taking by points. That might make you a little bit more money, a little bit more like because touchdowns are typically, you know, not favored as their plus odds. So you put that with maybe the Cowboys 9.5 because Casey's always wrong. So
That's what I like to hear. But that's all we got for you for the first episode. Hope you guys tune in next week. We're gonna start dropping stuff on some socials, on TikTok, Instagram, some reels, things like that. So feel free to give us a follow and check this out on YouTube. We'll be here next week. All right. So we appreciate the time and come back for Teed Up. This fucking guy.